Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you how I made my new single called Losing Control. If you haven't heard it, I'll link it below, and I'll also play a quick preview right now. So the track starts out with these plucks here. So how I made these plucks was in Serum, and it's this basic CJW wave that's basically just a saw wave. The wavetable position is just a little bit different, and it has 7 voices in unison. Here's the envelope I'm using to control this low pass 18 filter, and most of the sound is actually coming from this noise oscillator here. So without this noise oscillator, the sound sounds like this, and then with it, it sounds like this. So in the noise oscillator, it's a marimba patch coming from Singular Sounds future-based noises, just some preset pack I downloaded online, and it had a couple noise oscillators that I use a lot. Other than that, it's just a little bit of chorus and some EQ to cut off the high end. For processing, I have some EQ that's cutting off a lot of the high end. There's also some OTT that's cutting off a lot of the high end and cutting off all the lows. That's because underneath that pluck, I duplicated that Serum patch and made it into a bass. So I literally took the same Serum patch and I turned off the noise oscillator here, and I just brought it down an octave. I didn't really change anything else, and instead of the MIDI notes playing chords, I just have them play the bass notes. Other than that, the only thing going on in the verse is really this violin drone. You could use any violin for that. And then I have this pad sound that is slowly opening up throughout the verse. So the pad is playing the same chords as the pluck, just elongated, and it's just 2 saw waves up an octave from each other, and it's got a slow attack time on envelope, and then it has some dimension expander, some phaser, and some chorus on there just to make it more lush sounding like a pad. Then I have this macro here that's really controlling the cutoff opening up throughout the verse. So as you can see in the automation section here, I have it going from 0% all the way up to 70% to open it up. Having automation like that really just helps to add movement to your tracks. So here's what all that sounds like together.
I'm out of time, what do I do? Out of mind, thinking about you. Can't feel love, but I feel that.
Now let's get into the build and the drop section.
Losing control now, I'm losing my mind all of the time. I hear that music is so loud, it's getting me high. I don't know why. Losing control now, I'm losing my mind all of the time. I hear that music is so loud, it's getting me high. I don't know why.
So let's start with the synths in the drop. It consists of 3 layers. Together they sound like this. So the piano here is just an M1 piano, and it's called Piano 8 in there, and it has a really short release time, so the tail of the piano doesn't interfere with the next chords that the piano is playing. As for processing on the piano, I have some transient designer here to increase the attack of the piano. I have some EQ, just cutting off a lot of the highs, and it's really only playing the high part of the piano because I have some other layers underneath it. Then I have some OTT on here too. Next layer sounds like this. And that's just a Nexus layer called PL Bells 1. I added some delay on there, but it's really cool to layer piano sounds with marimba sounds and bell sounds. It just sounds cool to me. So on there I have some EQ, and I also have some OTT on there as well. Last synth layer is really what gives the whole thing the meat of its sound. It's the whole body of the sound. It's a pluck I made a while back. It's a basic CJW wave and a basic MG wave, which are basically just saw waves, just with different wavetable positions. And I have this envelope here modulating the filter. There's really nothing fancy going on with the sound. In the effects section, it's just chorus and EQ cutting off the highs. But it's a pretty simple sound, but it really just adds a bunch of body to the other synths. Then all three of these layers I'm sending to the same reverb here. They're also all going to a bus and being compressed together too. Let's move on to those horns in the drop. Alright, first layer is a serum layer I made to make sound like a horn. These two wavetables are hypo waves, which sound a lot like saw waves. And the way you get them to sound like horns is you take the envelope here and you use them to modulate the detune of both the oscillators. As for effects, there's just chorus on there. Next layer is another serum layer. It's really just filling up the high end of the frequency spectrum. It's just two saw waves, and in the EQ here, I'm taking out everything below 2000 hertz, which is really just the very high end. So I just wanted a layer to fill up the very highs of the spectrum. After that, I have two real horn layers, so they're contact layers. This one is the brass ensemble preset in contact, and I use the staccato articulation, which makes the notes short, so it sounds like this. And it's always good to layer your synths with real instruments just so it sounds fuller. There's one more contact layer here that's actually the same exact thing, it's just pitched up an octave. So the body of those horns is really coming from the serum patch I showed you guys first. So all together those sounds make up the full drop. I'll show you guys the drums too. So the drums are pretty straightforward. It's just an offbeat hat with some little shaker noises and stuff in between just to give it some swing. Like you'll notice in between the offbeat hats on the 16th notes, I'll put at a low volume a short little shaker or hat just to fill out the space and give it some swing. Alright, that's pretty much it for this one. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram below to stay up to date with what I'm doing. And I'll link the song if you haven't heard the full thing below so you can hear it. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Yeah, I woke up late in a strange new place.